All right, so today's video is going to be on real versus basically bullshit hypertrophy training that you see on Instagram and everywhere. So we're going to be talking about the difference between what actual hypertrophy training is and how to actually do it properly versus just those, just generic Instagram swipe workouts where it's like 3x12 on dips and then 3x12 on dip machine, 4 sets of 15 on pec deck, 4 sets of 15 on cable flies, where the workout's like 24 sets all for chest and you're just repeating the same movements over and over, and you always have to use one piece of equipment for its unintended use. I think you know who I'm talking about here. I'm not going to name drop anybody, but I really do want to right now. So I refuse to name drop, maybe one day, but basically, to get back on topic here, we all know these guys on Instagram that have a bunch of followers. They all take steroids, do random training and weird eye-catching exercises for their Instagram just to get some likes and basically comments and whatnot on those posts. But these are absolutely terrible for your long-term lifting progression. And these are very, very distracting. They're flashy and fun and exciting, but they don't actually do anything for you because they're not thought out. They're just like random lifts and random workouts that you can basically do nothing with because it's not an actual program, and these are just a complete waste of time. So little side rant over, let me get into the video so I can actually help you guys kind of see through the bullshit here. So basically, I'm just going to start calling these fluff and pump workouts. And this is how a lot of strength athletes actually view a lot of hypertrophy training. They just see it as a lot of like fluff and pump. But there's a fine line between overkill fluff and pump and actual legit hypertrophy training for actual legit results. So basically, to summarize this, the fluff and pump that I'm talking about is generally overkill volume work without actually training hard enough to see any results. You're generally going to be using equipment for its unintended purpose. I can't even believe I have to say that, but I do. And you're also using lifts that make you look big on camera. And I can see right through these guys where they do like the special angles and whatnot to make their crazy pump make them look even bigger. I see right through it. But we all know what I'm talking about here, where they like flex their bicep all close to the camera and they're like, yep, this, point to the bicep, and then proceed to do like they'll like grab 25-pound plates and like do bicep curls with them. It's just dumb, but I'm not going to rant anymore about that. So generally what these workouts are going to be, the biggest comparison between real and then this fluff and pump work is going to be the quality of the sets. So yes, when you are a beginner and you look at these swipe workouts, they cover everything. I mean, those chest workouts, they legit cover everything. Every angle of fly, every angle of press, and then there's always some weird like plate pinch in and out like this type of deal that biomechanically doesn't actually do anything for you, even if you went heavy on it. But basically, you're going to be spending the total basically value you have, aka the energy that you have to put into a few quality sets, and you're just going to keep chopping that up more and more to basically disperse it throughout an entire workout that is too much volume, that way too much volume for basically any lifter to handle, even if you're like Ronnie Coleman, but whatever. So basically, you're doing a bunch of junk volume. You're half-assing like 25 sets in an actual workout rather than crushing 8 or 9 sets in that workout per muscle group. So instead of having 9 or 10 really difficult sets that actually force you to build muscle, you're half-assing like 20, 25, sometimes even 30 sets in a workout. So the way that these guys train is actually what I would call the jack of all trades. So they're trying to do everything in one workout, and that actually results in a lesser effort and everything. So you defeat the purpose. Yeah, I mean, you basically like you shoot yourself in the foot in this situation. So for hypertrophy, all your effort needs to be focused on a compact and proper amount of work, and then over time that will slowly increase the amount of work you can do. So basically what I'm trying to say here is you need to pick I don't want to say the minimum effective volume because you don't want to train that low, but how concise can you be and how compact can you make your workouts to where you're getting enough volume and you can actually train those lifts hard to make progress on. That's where you want to be. Once you stop making progress doing that, you either need to add volume to that workout, so maybe add a set, and you should not be doing this very often. This is like a legit long-term training strategy, or you need to add frequency. And same thing, that's kind of a long-term training strategy. You shouldn't just be adding sets every week or every month. I mean, it's just, there's no way that's sustainable, because what happens when you're 2 years into training, let alone 8 or 10 years, you know? So this needs to be, this is a very, very short-term mindset, and that's why these workouts get your attention, because they're flashy, they're crazy, they'll get you a crazy pump because you're not actually training hard, you're just flexing up a little bit for 25 total sets. Like, yeah, obviously you'll get a pump from that, but you're not actually doing anything. So basically, you need to do how much volume you can actually crush in a workout, and then once you stop adapting and getting bigger from that, you slowly add more volume. Obviously, you should be progressing in reps and weight at the same time, very slowly, but once you stop and your gains start to taper off, then you can start to reintroduce adding volume. And obviously, once you get to about more than, like, in general, and it really depends person to person, lifting age to lifting age, and muscle group to muscle group, but generally you don't want to be above about 20 sets per week per muscle group. So to get into some real hypertrophy training and some practical advice for you guys, you're going to need, first things first, just a structured program or some type of outline that you can actually utilize and progress on. It's something that you can actually measure your results on. If you're just doing these random Instagram swipe workouts and, like, you need to check Instagram to figure out what your workout is for that day, you're not getting anywhere with that. Like, you might make some noob gains or whatever, but you're going to hit the hardest plateau you will ever see after doing that for a little bit. So what you need here is a structured program, and you need to have basically a way to actually measure your progress. And I'll touch more on this later at the end of the video. I have a really good point to finish basically this entire video off. But the next point I got here is going to be no 3x12, 4x15, 4x8. Like, we all know what we're talking about. It's like, oh, workout description is in the caption. It's like, okay, bench press 4x15, dumbbell fly 3x12, pec deck 4x12. It's like, one, training like that makes 0 sense for hypertrophy when you actually think about it, because let's say you're doing a 225 bench for 4 sets of 15. You can't take all 4 of those sets to failure. Like, you're either just sandbagging the crap out of the last set, or you're going to have to dramatically decrease the weight every set until you can actually get 15 each set. And it makes no sense, because that's that much harder to track your progress on if you're constantly changing the weight between each lift. Like, that just makes no sense. So the next point here is you're going to have a purpose for every lift, and you don't just need to know the purpose, you have to understand the purpose. Like, knowing why something is in your program is definitely important, but understanding why it's in the program is much more important. Like, you need to really get why it's there, and that will actually allow you to see through some of the BS that these guys put out on Instagram. So, for example, my chest workout, I do, just for an example, I'll start off with an incline machine bench, and it's like it's one of my basically plate-loaded machines back there. It's a free motion lever chest press, and I'll do that on incline. So I'm getting a press, and I'm getting something where I'm pressing on an inclined angle. After that, I'll do dumbbell flies, so that means I'm getting a really good stretch, and I'll do them flat, so it basically works my entire chest. After that, I'll do dips, so it's another press, and it's going to be a downward angle. So that way, I've covered her fly, so I've got the really good stretch. I've covered the incline, and I've covered that decline with the dips. Therefore, I've pretty much got everything covered. And if you try to get literally everything covered in one workout, you won't be able to do it. But I've got like 80%, 90% of every possible angle that I could basically shoot for. And I got it, and I crushed it in 9 total sets, and my chest is sore, and my chest is growing, and I'm getting stronger on these lifts every single week. So that's what you need to be doing. So I'm not just doing dips because it's chest or flies because it's chest. I'm doing, each lift is going to be a little bit different to target something that the previous lift missed, but something that maybe it's specialized on, I'm going to be missing out on the next lift. So obviously with a dumbbell fly, I'm not going to be maximizing tension because it's an isolation movement for a torso muscle group like my chest, but that's what my pressing and my dips are for. Those can maximize tension. However, a machine bench press can't get the full stretch. That's why I have the flies right after them. So it's kind of a win-win. I'm on a really good amount of volume and I'm still progressing. Once I stall out, I have a few options. I can maybe rotate one of my lifts. I could basically add a couple sets or add some basically more frequency, and there's a bunch of ways to do it. That's not what this video is about. Next one's going to be overall just measuring progress. So you know what, I do want to save this one for last. Let me skip that. So next one's going to be incorporating the 4 fundamentals. That's going to be volume, frequency, proximity to failure, and exercise selection. These are all crucial for actually nailing your workouts. If every workout you do has these 4 fundamentals in that, you are guaranteed to make progress, and that will allow you to prove that you are stronger in the next workout, resulting in more reps total across those 3 sets. Next point here is going to be treating all lifts equally. So real hypertrophy training, you're going to treat your lifts equally. And I know this point doesn't necessarily apply to those Instagram swipe workouts. This is more to the other side of the spectrum, where it's like more of a powerlifting strength focused hypertrophy workout, where maybe you go all out on your bench and then you kind of half-ass some lateral raises, do like 2 sets on tricep pushdowns and think that's good enough for your arms and shoulders. That's just not the case. We like to treat all lifts equal here. Very, very important. All lifts are equal. If it's an isolation or a machine or a cable or a barbell or a dumbbell, they're all equal. You have to treat them all the same. They all have their specialty and they all have their drawbacks. So treat them all equal. They are all equal. So the last point here is going to be, you need to have a long-term plan, and you need to be basically making factual changes to your program and factual adjustments from measuring your progress, so that doesn't lead you to make emotional adjustments. Building muscle is such a long-term goal. There's only scientifically so much muscle you can build in a certain amount of time, especially if you're doing it naturally like we all are. I mean, it's if you just change your program and ditch a program and you keep hopping onto new ones just because you feel like you're not making progress, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot, because it takes like legit a long time to build muscle. And even if you are making really good progress, you can actually miss a lot of it because it's so slow. So if you don't take progress pictures, if you don't measure your strength over long periods of time on lifts, and you don't actually measure your muscle groups, you could be making really good progress and you just don't know it. So that would be a total waste of time just to keep switching programs. Obviously, you're shortchanging your results by doing that. And you could be missing an opportunity by ditching a program that you thought you weren't getting results on because one day you felt small, versus maybe you were getting really good results on it. You just didn't know because you weren't measuring anything. So that's kind of the problem here. So yeah, basically to finish this video up, track your progress, know why you're doing things, and understand why you're doing things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for today. So thanks for watching. If you have questions, leave them down in the comments.